I've been living in the Philippines for 1 month now, and I wanted to do this video to just show you all 10 things that you need to know before you move out here. And we just dropped the laundry. You want to check and see, look at some fried chicken. If you're new to the channel and you're just tuning in, my name is Floyd. I decided to make the decision to leave the United States forever, and I haven't looked back since. Moved to Southeast Asia, specifically in the Philippines, and I make content about showing people cost of living, pros and cons, and just living life in the Philippines. So if you've been thinking about moving overseas and you want to know what it's like to live outside of the country, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications, and drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate that. A lot of people think the Philippines is really cheap, but it's actually not so cheap. In fact, we're doing some grocery shopping today, running some errands, paying for, different things, just paying for rent, electricity, and all of those things. And it's not as cheap as people would think. In fact, there are a few items that are honestly a lot cheaper in America. So if you're gonna come out here, that's just one thing you have to keep in mind, is that it's not cheap. My average cost of living right now is around $2,400 with like everything included. That's rent, utilities, Wi-Fi, grocery bills, eating out, dining out, paying down debts, all of those things. I know there's people who are, making videos, live like a king on $1,000 a month, and I guess you could do that if you were maybe in the province or something like that. But if you're in Metro Manila area, BGC, Makati, you're not doing that in those areas. Second thing people need to think about before moving here is that there are tons of food options, but a lot of places are hit or miss. There's a lot of times when I've gone out to restaurants and you're looking at the videos, you're checking out the Instagram, or the menu looks nice, but then you get the food and the quality's not there. You could just tell that, they're kind of just getting over on you. So the Philippines is a very unique and interesting place in the fact that they have a lot of options for restaurants, especially if we're just talking Metro Manila area. I can't speak for the provinces, but if we're talking the Metro Manila area, there's tons of options, but just be careful because there are a lot of places that are hit or miss. I actually have a list of some recommended places that I've been to that have passed my stamp of approval. So if you want that, just let me know in the comment section below. The next thing is that you can't always have it your way, even if you pay. And what I mean by that is there are also times, speaking back on the restaurants, there are also times where you might go to a restaurant and maybe you want to switch up your order, or instead of having lettuce on the sandwich, you want to add this, or maybe you want to add extra to this. There's a lot of times you might go to places and they will not allow that for whatever reason. Sometimes they'll tell you they can't do it because of their POS system. Other times they'll tell you they can't do that because it's just their rules. I'll never forget, I went to a very famous tea spot right inside the mall, and I wanted to get some additional boba or add some boba to my drink that did not come with boba, only to be met with, "Sorry, sir, we can't do that." And I said, "Oh, okay, well, why can't you?" "Oh, because we don't, make the drinks like that." Next thing you know, I just asked them, "Okay, well, if it doesn't come with the boba, can you sell me the drink? Can I order boba on the side?" "No, sir, we can't do that." "Why not?" "Because we can't." I ended up walking out. So it's an uncomfortable thing that I've had to deal with just going to different restaurants and sometimes bars and not being able to, customize and order the way that I want to, even if I'm actually, paying. So it's one of those things that I've had to make the adjustment to, and that's why I'm very particular about a lot of restaurants that I go to, because at the end of the day, you do get what you pay for, but you're also in another country where culture and rules may be different. Number 4, things might move a little slower out here. When it comes to getting things processed, We're talking paperwork, if we're talking filing something, just anything generally dealing with the government. Even just 1 month of me being here, I've learned that things in the Philippines move a lot slower. There's pros and cons to everything. If anything, it's taught me to have patience and, just have patience, but also gratitude for the US government and how slow that they process things, which of course all governments process things slow, but out here it is a little slower. So when it comes to visas extensions, I have personally just learned that it's better for me to just pay the extra cost to, get it expedited. Recently, I got my visa renewed. I got here 30 days visa free and extended for another 30 days. And that process was pretty simple, easy. But instead of me waiting a couple of days for them to, check everything and process the paperwork, I just paid extra money. I paid like 3,000 pesos, knocked it out, got my extension, same day we were good to go. Number 5, you might get hit with that foreigner tax or the skin tax. Anytime you go into a place where you're the outsider, that opens up scenarios for you to get taken advantage of, because you might not know the language, you might not know the culture, you might not have any connections or a network, built into that new culture, which could lend yourself to being charged more money for certain things like, real estate, certain pricing when you're shopping out in markets or, in the streets. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And one way I've learned to, mitigate that, well, for me, you can probably tell from my content, I'm dating a Filipina. Like, I'm in a relationship with a Filipina, but let's just say, for example, you're not in a relationship with a Filipina, or, you're just here, single, solo, nothing wrong with that. I would say make friends with the locals. That's one way you can overcome that. You could also, learn a little bit of the language, really just anything that can signal to someone that you're part of the culture, you're part of their group. Those are some ways that you can mitigate being taken advantage of and being hit with that foreigner tax. I've heard it happens a lot, especially when foreigners try to rent properties out here in the Philippines, or even when they try to buy properties out here. It hasn't happened to me as of yet, but I've heard it happen that way. Also, when people are out in different markets and buying things, I've heard it happen that way as well. Next thing is that living out here, it can be difficult to maintain a healthy lifestyle. It's no secret that in the Philippines and in a lot of Asian countries, rice is a big staple. Super carb heavy. Rice for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, sometimes dessert, sometimes, as a midday snack. If you're not careful, you'll start swelling up like the Goodyear blimp out here. One thing that I've learned to do is to, number one, weigh my food. I actually have a food scale. And then just also limit the amount of carbs. Do my best to try to get in and prioritize as much protein as I can, because I know rice is life, and I know if it ain't rice, it ain't right. But I care about my health and fitness, and it's not something that contributes to my overall health and fitness goals. The next thing, the exchange rate. Don't let the exchange rate fool you, because out here, if you're not careful, you can go broke if you let that exchange rate fool you. One problem out here with a lot of expats who move over here, they get this idea that, oh, the exchange rate is super low. I can just ball out of control. I can go crazy. I'm a king out here. And then they end up going broke. They end up running up the tab, borrowing money from people and not being able to pay their debts back because they lost sight and lost focus. Make sure you keep a budget and stick within your budget. Yes, my expenses have dropped significantly since I moved out here, but I'm not out here balling out of control, living like a king, living above my means just because it's more affordable. Because if you don't pay attention, you'll start running it up, the money, running it up, and next thing you know, you'll find yourself broke and booking a one-way ticket back to wherever you came from. So the eighth thing is that this is not America or whatever country you came from. One thing you got to understand about living overseas is, of course, there are going to be inconveniences. Of course, it's not going to be like your home country, but you know, that's the beauty of it. I see a lot of people who, you know, they might travel overseas or live overseas, and the first thing that they complain about is, hey, this is the exact opposite of my home country that I just left. Even for myself, I've had to get adjusted to some of the inconveniences out here in the Philippines. You have to take the trade-offs. You got to take the good with the bad. And there's obviously going to be pros to living out here. There's obviously going to be some cons, but hopefully the pros outweigh the cons, because the culture's different, the food's different, the atmosphere is different, the weather's different. Like, there's so many different variables that are different. But I would say embrace that and realize, yes, this is not like the country I just left. Be more optimistic and positive about it, and change your mindset on it, and I guarantee you it'll offer up a different living experience. Number 9, realize that every expat or every American is not your friend, so choose your friends wisely. If you're moving to a new country, you don't know anyone, you don't know the language, you don't know the culture, obviously you're gonna just gravitate towards what's familiar and what's known. But not every person, not every expat or every American that comes from your country of origin, not all of those people have great intentions. Of course, you have to be mindful of the people you become friends with, because once again, everyone is not your friend. Last but not least, the final thing that you need to keep in mind if you're considering moving to the Philippines or just moving abroad in general is you have to be open to learning and understanding a culture that's different than yours. I can't tell you the amount of times I run into Americans who come to the Philippines, they're living here maybe 1, 2, 3, 6 months, 12 months, years even, and they're literally trashing the country that they now live in. There are people who literally are just dragging the Philippines. And the thing that I'm always wondering is, well, why would you travel thousands of miles, pay thousands of dollars, come here, do all of these visa extensions? Why would you do all of that stuff only to then complain about the place that you chose to relocate to? That's one thing I need you all to keep in mind, is that if you're planning to move overseas, make sure you learn more about the culture and gain an understanding about the culture, because yes, it will be different than your home country. So those are the 10 things that you need to know before you move out to the Philippines. I appreciate you watching this video. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Was there anything else I missed or anything else I should consider? Drop me a comment below. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to hit the like button. That's one of the best ways to let me know you're enjoying this video and you want to see more stuff like this. But anyways, I appreciate y'all watching. Take care, stay safe. I love you all. Till next time.